Hello and thanks for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik-Boy. It's 99 days to the conduct of the 2019 general elections in Nigeria, and as the all-important polls draw nearer, we will be here to give you in-depth analysis of events shaping the polity. Today on the program, APC, PDP senators clash over federal government social intervention fund as Senate sets up ad hoc committee to probe the fund. Police Southeast governors disagree over attack on Ekweremadu's home as Umahi calls for thorough investigation. 2,000 PVCs seized from foreigners in Lagos, and later on the show, Boko Haram sets ablaze Yobe town. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Mobalade Omonijo, and Afolabi Akinola. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Well, Journalist Hangout starts now. The divisions and political alignments within the Nigerian Senate continue to manifest at the slightest of provocation. Rowdy sessions and shouting matches over critical issues are not unusual occurrence on the floor of the upper chamber. Another scenario played out on Wednesday when the social intervention funds of the federal government came up for debate. A motion by Senator Biodun Olujimi from Ekiti State alleging that the executive is using the funds for political gains threw the Senate into commotion as APC and PDP senators rose to react. After the rowdy session, a committee was set up to probe the Social Intervention Fund as well as the Shopping program of former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration. Let's watch this.
Distinguished, distinguished colleagues,
Mr. President, there is a need for a committee to be set up to look into this issue.
Mr. President, let me say, order, please, order. Let me say from the onset that the social intervention program of this administration is computer-based, very transparent. For the first time, Mr. President, I am reading Order 43 of the Rules of the Senate. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President, a senator may make personal explanation. Mr. President, this Senate is governed by rules. There is a subsisting motion on the ground, and by our rules, that motion needs to be seconded first.
A rowdy session there at the Senate, but then these are weighty allegations against such a program that was tagged transparent, because with these allegations, it's clearly going to alter the essence of the purpose of setting up such funds, really.
I don't think it will alter anything. He who alleges must prove. Olujimi says those forms have written on them, I stand with Buhari. Yeah. And the president's aide on social intervention, Miriam Owais,
yes,
says nothing like that is written on the form. And she has challenged Senator Olujimi to produce the forms on which she saw I stand with Buhari written. And Senator Olujimi also claimed that beneficiaries were
As to come
asked
PVCs.
to questions that are relating to their PVCs and other things. And that those who do not have PVCs were denied the privilege of accessing the funds. But these are things that have to be proved. So if you bring up an allegation, the challenge for you is to conclusively prove that the allegation that you have made is correct. And that's the essence of the probe. The Senate appears to like probes. The senators like probes a lot, and most times nothing comes out of their probes. But as you can see, in one day, they said they are going to probe Shopi of the Jonathan administration.
Yes.
And they are going to probe this one as well. What Saraki just did was to find a way to please both sides, you know. The Senate president wants to please the PDP and please
The APC.
the APC members as well, because he needs both camps, so that Oshomole's wish of removing him because he has the crown of the APC in his hand will not come to pass. So, because naturally there was not so much push for the probe of the Shopi, but the Senate president went ahead and granted the wish of the person who brought up the motion. It's every Wednesday, because cameras are allowed into the Senate chambers and its proceedings are beamed live to Nigerians by the NTA, something, some form of drama happens. Just watch out. Every Thursday, every Wednesday, that's what happens, because these senators are playing to the camera. They want people to see them. They want the electorate to see them, that they are fighting for them, they are fighting for the people. They want their party leader to see them. So every Wednesday, something, in terms of drama, something significant will happen. You saw what Dino was doing, just trying his best to make sure that the Senate leader had no way of responding to a very grave allegation made by Senator Olujimi. And then he brought up Order 43, which was used by Senator Albert Akpan the other day to embarrass Akpabio by saying, look, a motion brought forward must first be seconded before it can be opposed, just as a way of stopping Lawan from responding. From responding. So we wait to see the outcome of the probe, but the PDP has to be careful, because if people are benefiting from this money, the poorest of the poor, they are benefiting. If you appear to oppose such gesture, the people can actually punish you at the polls. So they have to be careful what they go against.
All right. Mobalade, Senator Lawan is saying that this investigation should not be turned into a political weapon. Is it possible that that is what it could turn out to be?
Anything at this point, when election is around the corner, could be used for political purpose. It could be used for or against. I mean, it's not, anything could be used. But the issue is it beneficial to Nigerians? And Nigerians drawing some benefits from them. Let's not forget that the social intervention program, it's not just this enterprise thing. There's the cash transfer policy. You have the school feeding policy. Yep. You have quite a number of them. You know? You have the N-Power for the empowerment. There are about 3, 4. You know? It's unfortunate because
Trader money.
The trader money, that's the latest that has come up. So when you say that they are giving fund and all that, I know it had come up before. When budget was being defended, Senator Goje said that he did not know anybody in his own constituency who had benefited. And
the N-Power.
The N-Power. I was happy to some extent because Goje is an APC senator. So he's saying that it was not politicized, But every other person came up immediately, and you heard people saying, look, we have seen that. And Mrs. Miriam Uwais, who I respect a lot, was able to say that this is transparent. Go on your computer, check. Don't just come here and raise issues. Let's see that you have done your homework. When you've done your homework, you can say, look, I went to your site, I did not see anything. I don't see anything about Gombe State. But you can't say that, and you have not said it. And she was able to defend that. I think the Senate should move up in terms of maturity. I think so. It's supposed to be the upper house. You have former governors there, deputy governors, ministers, they are there. You will expect that some of their experience will be brought to bear on what they do there. The kind of thing that we saw Senator Dino doing there should not have a place in the Senate because he moved from his seat, he went there and was trying to heckle the APC members. Even if he had legitimate ground to say that Order 43 allows us to follow a particular procedure, he could raise it. And it's very close to the Senate president. So I don't think it's a question. These are very important issues that should interest Nigerians.
Of course.
If you have forms for money that should be freely dispensed to all Nigerians who are eligible, and you see I stand with Buhari there, or you bring your PVC, then that should be very important. So we should be interested in the truth, not in heckling, not in obfuscating issues.
All right. Well, Afolabi, there's going to be a probe of all of this, but then how do you see it going? Because Miriam Uwais said that two imposters were, were caught in the process when she was responding to all of this. How do they begin to, because this funds should interest Nigerians and it's for the benefits of Nigerians, how do they tackle that even as we have a probe at hand?
Very interesting, right? It's just that the politicization of the Special Intervention Fund as alleged is a very interesting news for Nigerians. But it is not only enough to allege, you must also prove. Because if you are not able to prove at the end of the day, that amount to something else. So I think what I suggest at the moment is if the data analysis of whoever is eligible for this kind of scheme is captured appropriately, I think we won't have these kind of issues. If the issue of PVC is involved, that to me is not good enough. But I will appreciate even if it's national ID card, because the issue is that the national identity card has no political coloration. Nobody will read meanings to it, but I'm interested in Nigerians that are eligible to this thing to be properly verified. But as far as the probe is concerned, I'm not sure this is the focus of this Special Intervention Fund. It is possible that some people could also be overzealous in ensuring that at least Mr. President is being considered to be reputable in this kind of intervention programs and all that in their own way. But I'm sure this is not the original reasons why this thing was established. Okay. So at this moment, if indeed something like that has occurred, I think it should also be probed. Because, of course, we need to save the image of Nigeria as a nation. We need to also understand that the availability of, because this thing has to do with loan, it has to do with fund. All right. The availability of this thing to eligible Nigerians, regardless of political parties, is the basis of why this kind of thing was established. It shouldn't have political coloration.
All right, let's move on now. Heated partisanship tends to dictate national discourse in Nigeria. The reported attack on the Abuja home of Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu is getting political and ethnic coloration, while the Nigerian police has labeled the attack a mere burglary attempt rather than an assassination move. Governors from the Southeast region think otherwise. Ebonyi State Governor and Chairman of Southeast Governors Forum, Dave Umahi, has disagreed with the police report. He's calling for a thorough investigation to unravel the matter. This is just as Senator Ekweremadu has vowed to release video footages showing the invasion of his home. Jide, what are your thoughts on this matter, disagreement? The Southeast governors are saying this is not just a burglary attempt, but an assassination.
Well, it may be a burglary, it may be assassination. But I think I agree absolutely with the Deputy Senate President that the interim report released by the police was hasty. If you look at when the the attack on his home happened, and the speed with which the police responded by saying, no, it's actually burglary. And bearing in mind that a lot of the people involved had not even been spoken to. You had not taken their statements. Those who confronted the guys in the Deputy Senate President's home, his own relations, his son, his wife, and other people, they had not been spoken to. And then you came to that conclusion that, oh, it had to be burglary. Within so short a space of time, definitely people would disagree. And that's why someone like the Senate, the governor of Ebonyi, who is also the chairman of the Southeast Governors Forum, is saying, no, what we need is a thorough investigation. And a thorough investigation takes time. It's not what you do under one day, you just come to a conclusion that, oh, it is burglary. No. I mean, it's something that the police has to take its time to investigate. Otherwise, they will not be able to come up with credible clues. So this is the feeling of the Deputy Senate President. He said, look, if Nigerians have the opportunity to look at the CCTV footage, they will be able to determine by themselves that this indeed was not a case of burglary, that it happened in a house located close to Ekwuremadu's house, that burglary was reported, recently in a house located close to Ekwuremadu's home, does not mean that what happened in his home was a case of burglary. So the police has to be thorough in investigating things like this. How much effort did they put in before they came up with this decision, with this report at so short a time? And then the Senate President also, Deputy Senate President complained about this, the very late response of the police to his distress calls. So if somebody so high up there, like Ekwuremadu, is in distress, and it takes the police eternity to respond, to go save him and all that, then the rest of us are in trouble. Even the time that it took them to personally to get the DIG operations, Joshua Kabila, to go and see the Deputy Senate President and talk to him about what had happened and ask him questions. Oh, it was so long. For something that happened at 4 a.m., it was around 1:30 that the police finally got to Ekwuremadu to ask him questions about what happened. I mean, it doesn't dignify the police at all. The police have not covered themselves in glory in the way they've handled this matter so far.
All right, perhaps this is why the Southeast governors are also saying that the essence of this is to rebuild confidence, the confidence of the people and the Nigerian police. The thorough investigation, they're asking for a thorough investigation into the matter.
For any such issue, there should be thorough investigation. The police in Nigeria is too quick to jump to conclusion in many cases. And number one, they will tell you we're on top of the matter. They have the phrases that they deploy in such situations. And then they come up with theories before they even go into the matter at all. I think it's unfortunate that they did that in this case. We are not saying that it's assassination attempt. We are not in a position to determine that. But we are saying that it's the constitutional responsibility of the police, and they must be able to show beyond every shadow of doubt that they've done a thorough job. They've not shown that in this particular case. We are not surprised that even previous real assassinations, up to today, they were not able to come up with anything because they boggle such issues. The Attorney General of Nigeria, serving Attorney General, was killed. Up to today, we don't know what's happened, how it happened. No, you had somebody, just Dikibo, you had Funshaw Williams, you had so many assassinations at a point in our life, and they are unresolved till date. So in this case, the man said it was an assassination attempt. It may be, it may not be, because I know sometimes, even if you watch the footage, you need a professional to be able to understand.
Yes.
I've been once abducted by armed robbers, and they were saying things, somebody has paid for your life. I knew it was not true. I knew that they were armed robbers. And eventually when they dropped me and all that, they just wanted to go with the car because it was brand new at the time, and that was the time they were snatching cars. So they could have said a number of things, even to divert attention at that moment. But one is not saying that's what happened.
To mask their true intention.
Exactly, true intention. So the police should professionally go into such things to raise the confidence of Nigerians. It's not an ethnic thing. It's not political.
Well.
I mean, what I'm saying is that it's a Nigerian citizen and a high-profile Nigerian who was involved. So the police should go into it and come up with detailed, unassailable reports.
Perhaps some would say that the Deputy Senate President should perhaps release that video, because some persons are reading some political meanings to this matter, saying that there are some people who are trying to silence him, so to
I think,
speak.
interestingly, I will tell Nigerians straight away that it's not that our police are not professionals. They are indeed professionals. They are just being deceptive.
How do you mean?
If they want to do a thorough job, they know how to do a thorough job. They ensure that this thing becomes politicized in their own way. That's their own way of, defining professionalism. Because something happened, the victims have not even been interviewed.
Exactly.
Nobody has been talked to and all that.
You came with an entire report.
In fact, because I'm sure there must be security details in his house.
Well.
All those people, in fact, as a matter of fact, you were supposed to even arrest those people.
They've arrested
If
some.
they arrested them,
If what you have said that would have made sense to people, that we are still investigating this matter.
Yes.
If you say we are still investigating this matter, it makes sense. So politicization is what they have done. And I wonder, the Nigerian police are supposed to be neutral. They are supposed to ensure that at least Nigerians are more respected in their own conduct. But if you are engaging somebody who is not from the ruling class, this because in my understanding is because perhaps it's not in the ruling class. If it becomes if it's in the ruling if it's in the ruling party rather, it will have been a different thing entirely. But I want us to understand that in the past, we've seen, just as you have said, we've seen Attorney General more than in their bedrooms.
Yes.
The same thing with Funshaw Williams. So anything can happen. Because with this conduct, you are trying to let the reason why you are even there to make sure that the safety of lives and property is much more respected and defended. You are even trying to let it appear as if anybody can be killed and nothing will have happened. So it's unfortunate, and it's a disservice to the Nigerian nation if the level of professionalism is being tailored along this dimension. It won't make anybody to respect you. It won't make anybody to have confidence and believe in you. So what they have done is an injury to one is an injury to all. So I think the Inspector General of Police should, of course, step up in this matter and ensure that the best is done, because releasing such videos for Nigerians is even an embarrassment on the Nigerian police force. Now, okay, since that is your own verdict, let me show the true verdict to Nigerians. So when the Deputy Senate President is now turning to a proper police person, then that's the problem.
Judy, how do we move on from here now? How do you, your suggestion on how these matters should be handled and seen to have been thoroughly investigated? Because the police are calling for patience from the Deputy Senate President and saying they want to carry out a thorough and discreet investigation that will bring about a logical conclusion.
Yeah, that's what they should have said from the beginning. That's what they should have said from the beginning. the police keep making mistakes, especially under my friend, the current IG. All kinds of mistakes, embarrassing mistakes, things that you don't even want to hear. You know, so in this case, they should have been patient, should have taken their time, do a painstaking investigation, you know, with a fine-tooth comb. And then you will be able to put a finger on the actual motive of the attackers. But within so short a time to come up and say, no, it has to be burglary. I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that. We've seen murder committed within someone's home. And people say, oh, it's politics. Oh, it's this, it's that. But with time, we discover the motive. I will recall the murder of Muhammadu Abubakar Rimi's wife. I'm sure you remember some years back. When the wife, his second wife, was murdered inside his house in Kano, Dobin Katsina Way, in Kano, Dobin Katsina Road. After the woman was killed, Rimi went to town and no, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not, my wife is not Bola Ige that was killed and nothing happened. And Rimi continued to say, oh, this is why my wife was killed, oh, because of political differences with Obasanjo. At that time, this Kwankwaso was the Minister of Defense. And they were locked in a battle for the control of Kano. So, when it happened, Kunle Ajibade, my boss, said, Jide, go to Kano. You lived in Kano for years. Go and investigate this. I'm sure you will get the truth. And I went there, went to Rimi's house. Without Rimi's knowledge, I interviewed people in his household. And we discovered that it was actually Rimi's son that brought the killers to come and kill Rimi's wife, and then they stole her trinkets and other things. Arrests were made, and at the end of the day, the truth became clear to everyone. The truth became clear. I ran the story, I spoke with the DSS people because arrests were made, and the confessions. They gave me the confessions of the people that were arrested. It was actually his friends. He was the one who opened the door for them around 12 midnight. Because when you go to the man who guards your home, your security man, and you open the gate for your friends, he's not going to say what's going on. No. And they just carefully strangled the woman. There was no noise made, no alarm raised. Once the murder was silently done, they left the area. So it was a collusion between Rimi's own son, biological son, and his friends. Because that was, the woman was the stepmother. Yes. His own mother was living somewhere around Kundila at that time. So, but in the end, Nigerians got the truth. What we thought was actually a political murder. In the fullness of time, we discovered that it was actually murder carried out within Muhammadu Abubakar Rimi's home. So that is what a philosopher said, time is a gentleman. Time always resolves issues like this. But you must be ready for painstaking investigation. And painstaking investigation takes time. Not something that you do under 24 hours. You say you know what happened.
All right, let's quickly take this break. When we return, 2,000 PVCs seized from foreigners in Lagos. Stay with us for details. All right, you're still watching the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. Quickly, before we move on, for you, what would be a logical conclusion of this case?
You cannot determine the conclusion from the beginning. What we need is to see the process, to see a transparent process, to see thorough investigation, to see the police in action, to see professionalism deployed, and then move inexorably to a conclusion that is beyond anybody's doubt. But as to the conclusion, nobody can say for
Nobody
now.
can say. Agreed. The process will determine. All right?
The only ingredient of reasonable investigation to a case like this is to be impartial. The moment you are impartial in any investigation, at the end of the day, you get to the root of the matter. But the moment you are partial, no amount of intelligence will be deployed that will make any sense. And again, the police must try as much as possible to ensure that a record is set. When you engage in a brilliant precedent for investigation, history will be kind to you.
All right, let's move on now. Well, the porous nature of Nigeria's borders has become legendary. There are more than 1,400 illegal border routes in the country. Goods and persons pass through our international gates at will, sometimes to fuel one crisis or another. Now, foreigners may well begin to have a say in who governs the country. On Wednesday, the Lagos State Resident Electoral Commissioner Sam Olumekun said among registered voters were nationals of Cameroon, Chad, Niger, among other neighboring countries. So far, 2,000 PVCs have been seized from these foreigners by officials of the Nigerian Immigration Service. Should this news elicit fears as we approach 2019 elections, Jude?
Well, for me, there's no fear, because I know that this has always been the case. It has always been the case. It's illegal aliens continue to populate our country, and in everything you do, they also get involved. We use them to kill our brothers and sisters. We use them to vote in our elections. So it's not something that just started today. Look, there were people I think it was in Zaria that it happened, that some guys were arrested, and they said that some politicians brought them in from Niger Republic to come and be part of the 2019 elections. And there are communities even in Nigeria today that when you go there, a preponderance of the people is not, a sizable proportion of the people there are not Nigerians. You go to Rigasa in Kaduna, for example. Rigasa, anyone who has lived in Kaduna knows that, except that person wants to deceive himself. Rigasa, more than 60% of the people there are foreigners. But they vote here. They vote. They get involved in voting. They have, and the Rigasa ward is also one of the largest wards in the entire country. And they are largely foreigners. You go to Fege in Kano, a lot of the people in Fege where the late Sani Abacha was born are foreigners. Foreigners from northern Cameroon, from Chad. The late Metasine, Mohamed Marwa Metasine, was from northern Cameroon. And he killed so many Nigerians until in 1980, when Brigadier General Haliru Akilu led some soldiers to go and kill him in Kano. Foreigner coming to Nigeria to propagate his brand of Islam, and in the process killing our people. And he had huge following at that time. Thank God that they took him out in 1980. So this is foreigners continue to come into our country. The bandits killing people in Zamfara today, that we find it difficult to solve the problem.
Foreigners.
A good majority of them are not Nigerians. I went there, I interviewed victims in the IDP camp, and they said the people who come to kill them are Barai Fulani, and they told me that the kind of Fulani who come to kill them are those ones with long hair. The Nigerian Fulani, they don't have long hair like that. These ones, their hair could be so long that almost reaching their buttocks. So these are the people coming to kill her. People, they are everywhere. So if you find just 2,000 PVCs with them, honestly, there are hundreds of thousands of PVCs still in the hands of these foreigners.
All right, Mobalade, yes, this has always been the case, but then it is wrong and shouldn't be the case.
Of course,
how do we address this?
Well, let me first of all say that the surprise there is not that you have aliens, with PVCs, and that they will be voting in our elections. Whatever you do, some of them will vote. The surprise is that they are nationals of Chad, Niger, and Cameroon found in Lagos. If you have so many people here, you can imagine what is happening in the north. Then you can imagine also the Beninois and the Togolese who will be in Lagos, and whom you have not discovered with the same thing. So for as long as we have very porous borders, and for as long as we do not have the national ID card really fully taking effect in Nigeria, you will have such things. We must have a device by which Nigerians are identified. And when you do that, then you can say, but as it is now, anybody could.
And some of them might even have the national ID card.
Maybe. It's possible. It's possible. Maybe. But at least we would have taken some step. We don't even take any step whatsoever. That you happened to see a few. It's a tip of the iceberg. It's unfortunate, it's unacceptable, it should not be so, but it is so. That is the reality. And I don't see how they can fully uncover this before 2019.
Afolabi.
The issue is a very sad development. You won't get solutions easily because they are instruments of politics. If you consider something a tool in which you can use to advance your political advantage, it becomes very difficult to cure such issues overnight. Let's look at this. We are talking about brain drain in some regards. Nigerians are traveling out of the country and they are advancing the developmental course of other nations all over the world. In fact, we have a case where in US and in UK and all that, Nigerians are in fact excelling medically. They are the pillars of the socio-economic engineering of most nations. Now we're now having foreigners, people who do not really even have any advantage for Nigeria. They are coming in en masse to kill our people. So I think we must allow science to hate and identify who lives with us. In US, you cannot vote if you are not a citizen, because that's what we call social security number. It's not everybody. You can be living in US, but you might not be permitted to vote. Scientifically, you'll be fished out. So the social security number of that country makes it very, in fact, it's straight from your plate number to everything, to where you live, to everything about you, until we advance technology to ensure that we have this. It's not, you don't need rocket science. Nigeria must invest in the area of social security numbers to identify who lives with them. Because, take for instance, if you are politicizing census, when you have a state that is even trying to ensure that you outsmart other states by having more population in your state, regardless of who stays there. So how do you get correct answers? So if I know that if I have much population in my state, by any means, so that at least the government will now see that this is one of the most populous states, when in the real sense, I'm not as such populous, then to get the accurate solution to this kind of problem becomes difficult. Nigerians are not sincere with themselves, because if there are no internal collaborators, even at that border or anywhere, there might be no reasons to have this kind of population until we are sincere. Even if the border is okay, let's assume that the border is even not porous.
Okay.
You must ensure that institutions are built to understand and to know who lives where, when, and how.
All right.
That is my own submission.
Let's move forward now. Like a festering wound, the Boko Haram insurgency continues to cause pain and anguish in Nigeria. As we try to massage the scars of past injuries, more is being perpetrated by insurgents on helpless citizens in the northeast region. In another evil foray into our consciousness, Boko Haram attacked the Yobe town of Katako and set many houses ablaze. The number of casualties is yet unknown. The same town had suffered a deadly attack in 2014 that claimed many lives, with 100 women and children abducted. When are we going to be free from Boko Haram attacks? Let's listen to Yobe State Police Commissioner Abdulmaliki Sumoni.
Saying Katarko was under attack. However, before that time, there has been calls that gunshots were being received from Katarko, and Katarko is one of the closest areas to Damaturu. And when we cross-checked, we were told that suspected Boko Haram elements came to Katarko in vehicles. The initial one they told us that there were 8 Hilos-looking like vehicles and about 14 motorcycles. As at this morning, we've been told that the camp of the military in Katarko was completely razed down. They burnt an APC vehicle with a Hilos vehicle. The human casualties have not come on for now. However, I am aware that the military is still operating. They are mopping up the action they have taken since 7:30 last night up to now.
Jide, this is another brazen attack, just 20 kilometers from the state capital.
I'm familiar with that area because I went to Buneyadi, where Boko Haram slaughtered more than 40 students of Federal Government College, Buneyadi, just to see the school. And at that time, I saw that not one building in the entire school was standing. The Boko Haram men are extremely destructive. If they move into a town, they will not leave a single building standing. You go back there, you won't see a single roof. They are so destructive. So you have to pass through that Katarko, Goneri, and what particularly must have made it easier for them to come into town is because from Goneri, you can actually go into Sambisa Forest. Because Sambisa Forest is in that area, Goneri, going to Buneyadi. So, but for Boko Haram to come within 20 kilometers of the state capital, when we have military formations in Buneyadi, the Nigerian Army Special Forces Coup is in Buneyadi. Special Forces, the best trained soldiers that we have in Buneyadi. In Goneri, we have an army base. But look at what happened. They moved in with gun trucks, because that's their favorite way of attacking communities. They come with those gun trucks positioned, just firing at random. And then there are other fighters coming on motorbikes carrying AK-47 or AK-49. The strength in number is what makes soldiers to sometimes run away, though they will not confess to you that they take off. So in this case, when I was listening to BBC Hausa Service, some of the victims, some of the residents of the town were saying that Mungudu Tare de Sojoji, that we ran away along with soldiers. We went into the bush, we ran into the bush along with soldiers. That even some of the soldiers were removing their uniform. It's that bad. So, but you come and hear stories. I was reading Texas Chukwu, the military spokesman. He said the military foiled attempt by terrorists to attack the military location. But you heard what the commissioner of police said, that the military base was destroyed. And there is even video of the APC, armored personnel carrier of the military, that was destroyed. So the people, the military can come up with their stories, it's their style, not their way. But the thing is, when people are forced to go and sleep in the bush overnight because of shooting and all that, because their town was invaded and the people could not find the town safe. There is no story that you can tell them that, that people will believe. Because people have seen clearly this one now, because it's so close to Damaturu, the state capital, is everywhere. People have access to the news. It's not the classic cases of Boko Haram attack of the army bases that we hardly read about. This one is in the open. So this is what is happening. And when the police commissioner was saying that he has not heard stories of casualties and all that, it's not in all attacks that Boko Haram comes out to kill people. They want, their major goal in going to a place like Katarko, their goal is to steal the people's food. So they go steal maize, steal grains generally, beans, all those, so that once they've stolen that, because they get hungry inside the Sambisa. So once they've stolen that, they run back into Sambisa. They have no interest in killing those people. It's not in all cases. Although they will attack the army. Once they have attacked the army and they've left, that's all. They've achieved their aim of stealing people's food. Where you store your food, they go there, pack the food. If you go to Katarkot now, they didn't even burn houses of civilians. It's the army base that they went to. They have achieved their aim of stealing the food, and for them, that is a mission accomplished. But how they manage to come into town with many vehicles, with many motorbikes, and we will not track them, and they will operate for hours, is still something that looks like a mystery to me, because in that area we have army bases.
Maybe perhaps Mobalade might want to talk about that.
Well, I mean, it's a puzzle, because we've heard many times that the Boko Haram has been technically defeated. We've heard that they've already freed Sambisa forest, and yet these people are still, as potent as they are, they're able to move in, they're able to cause maximum damage, they're able to still... I was reading of a man in Katako who was talking of when it happened, his wives and children all scattered in different directions, and as at the time he was being spoken to, he has not even seen them, he didn't know anything. You could imagine the level of distress. You have small children without their parents, just moving in directions that they could not understand. So that they were able to get there, that they are still potent enough to attack military formations. It's puzzling. You know? I think one of the things that may be causing some of this is also numbers. I think the military is spread so thin. They are in 32 states of 36. You know, when there's problem in Benue, when there's problem everywhere, and even things that should be purely handled by the police, because the police is particularly not strong, is not well funded, it's not well trained, it's not well equipped. You send the military there.
So go and use live ammunition.
Go and use live ammunition. And where you really need them to be able to confront these people and incapacitate them, we don't have enough people. Like he said, if you have so many of these Boko Haram people moving in and you don't have as many military men, of course they will flee.
They will flee. So
they
are not fools now, they will run. So they can fight another day.
Exactly. He who fights and runs away
lives to fight
another day. So I think that government should restructure this. And I also think that we are reaping what we have sown over the years.
How do you mean?
Yeah, under the military, the police complained that the military deliberately underfunded and under-equipped them.
Yes.
And as a result, they cannot even perform their basic duties in most of the states. So the military that they equipped, they deploy everywhere, 32 states.
And they're supposed to be the last resort.
The last resort. They become the first resort. So I think that we should pay more attention. This thing is getting too long. It's tarried for too long. Every day you see people slaughtered in Borno, you see people killed in Yobe, you see military formations being attacked by a force that we say has been technically defeated. No, I don't see them as, I see them as potent.
We have agreed now to change the technically defeated to degraded, substantially degraded.
Okay, for people who have been substantially degraded still carrying out such brazen attacks, Afolabi.
This might sound ethnic, but I think that's a fact. If Boko Haram happened to be in the east or in the west, it would have been a forgotten story by now.
You think?
No.
And it might sound ethnic.
No,
that's
no.
what I'm saying.
No.
It might sound ethnic.
No, that's not it. The Boko Haram gets support, gets funding now from ISIS. And some of the weapons that they use were weapons that they got from the black market through Libya. Some of those weapons, you see NATO written on them. Those weapons, when you see NATO written on a rifle, it shows that that rifle was not in our own inventory.
Now,
it shows that they are foreigners.
When you have countries like Chad, Niger, as your neighbors,
and they are not doing enough.
Rebels, you've had rebels over the years, you are likely to have a ready market.
It's even like a fair state.
Okay.
What I'm saying in this instance is that I don't want to believe that there are no accomplices within the Nigerian military in this regard. You might disregard this fact, but I want to believe there are conspiracy from within in this situation. There are people who provide intelligent information for attackers within the military. I think the military needs to also look inward to be sure whether we are together in fighting insurgency. This is very key. I don't want to believe that all is well within the military circle. There are people who benefit in inflicting pains on Nigerians, on fellow Nigerians. Because if we are together, if we are one, because we've seen cases where some of those captured, where they got support from our military base. We've seen that. We've seen people who are part of Boko Haram who got trained. So please, we need to look inward. It might sound somehow, but this is a fact. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. But loyalty
and honesty,
honesty in the military base should be tested.
They've made arrests in the past of some soldiers that they felt were compromised. But I don't think that is the issue now. We've gone beyond that point. The military now is overstretched. I was talking to a general who told me that, look, we have never put up to 40,000 troops in the Northeast since we started the fight. Look, to defeat insurgency, you must outnumber the enemy by at least, by ratio 1 to 5, at least, to defeat insurgency, because they will keep coming at you. And what they use, all those, but they've been brainwashed, they are ready to die. A man ready to die is difficult to fight because he has nothing to lose. So this is the thing. And then we suffer serious equipment inadequacy at this time. I was happy when I read that some equipment have been brought in. Because we don't have enough equipment, our military has now become a defensive force. Why are we not going after them? How many times have you had in recent times that we went after them to go and destroy them where they are? We always wait to be attacked because of our inadequacies. So we wait. And when they come, then we chase them. We are supposed to go to where they are, finish them off there. So there are problems. And these problems, I know it's possible that there are saboteurs who could be giving information about troops movement and all that. Yes, they've arrested in the past, but the problem is beyond that. And homegrown insurgency anywhere in the world is difficult to fight. Tamil Tigers, it took Sri Lanka 25 years to defeat Tamil Tigers. So homegrown insurgency is the most difficult kind of warfare to get involved in. So we praise our troops. They are sacrificing, many people, our soldiers are dying, but we still need more. and we must get the strategy right. If we don't get the strategy right, this war will go on and on. We must equip the military sufficiently to be able to defeat the enemy. I have no doubt that we have the soldiers who can get the job done, but we must equip them sufficiently. We must provide for their welfare, must take good care of them. At the end of the day, Boko Haram will be defeated, no matter how long it takes.
I think to avoid people running away again with that, maybe life insurance.
Okay, we have run out of time, Afolabi, but I must thank you, gentlemen, for your contribution on the program. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangout. So join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Watch Journalist Hangout on other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Veronica Danik Boy. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.